Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road. It's pretty grey and no, it's not drizzly yet, but it's grey and gloomy. But the press box and the press room, I can tell you, has been very, very busy, and that probably lends you to recognise who Norwich City are playing today. It is the visit of Wrexham, newly promoted Wrexham, who are at Carrow Road. Norwich City, of course, hoping to end that winless start to proceedings in the 25-26 season here at Carrow Road. I am at Carrow Road. Paddy is on the walk to Carrow Road. I mean, Paddy, usually you're sat beside me just before the team news comes out. Just provide us with a little bit of colour of where you are and what's going on at the moment.
I'm having to navigate the trials and tribulations of a 6-year-old's birthday party, which has only just finished. Hence why I'm not there with you. We'll be shortly, about a 10-minute walk away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I might be about to get photobombed. There's two characters just about walk past me with the yellow shirts on, so I assume they're en route as well. Hopefully they'll be friendly. But I think it's going to be quite exciting team news, Connor, when it drops. What do you think?
Yes, I think it could well be. We've got about a minute or so until it drops, and we can talk about it in more definite terms. But it's from what we're hearing, this is going to be quite interesting when it does drop in terms of how it looks and also probably how it lines up as well, which we will, of course, bring you when it does drop in just a minute's time or so. Norwich City, of course, without Ben Krizene, without Mateus Klisgoren. I think we can probably say very shortly you can add another one to that list very, very imminently. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be anywhere near as serious as those two, thankfully. But we will wait until the team news drops before we can talk about that. I mean, to give you some perspective on the team that or the situation, again, I'm filling basically until the team news drops. But I got to Carrow Road about 12:30, and I kid you not, there were 3 seats spare in the press room, which for Championship football is very, very rare. So that gives you the scale of what's going on today. Right, let's bring you this team news then, because it is in, and we can tell you it's 4 changes for Norwich City. Kovacevic in goal, Stacey, Medic, Darling, and Cordoba as a back 4. We'll come on to that in a moment. Matson and Topic as a midfield 2. Diallo on the left, Jurasek on the right, with Sienat and Sargent dovetailing each other. The bench, Grimshaw, McConville, Fisher, Adelusi, Wright, Marcondes, Gibbs, Schwartau and Makama. So just to bring that to you again, Kovacevic in goal, Stacey, Medic, Darling and Cordoba. Matson and Topic, the midfield 2. No Kenny McLean this afternoon. Diallo and Jurasek, the 2 wide options, with Sienat and Josh Sargent, who captains the team this afternoon. Paddy, lots to pick out of that. Let's start with no Kenny McLean, who we're led to believe is missing today with a back injury. Not that serious. So from what we're told, there was some conversations about potentially including him on the bench, but it's been a decision taken to leave him out of the matchday squad entirely. And that means a start for Pelle Matson. His first minutes in a Norwich City shirt will come at Carrow Road this afternoon. What are your thoughts on that midfield news?
Well, I mean, less so McLean having to make way, but definitely Matson had to come in, I think. A lot of discourse ever since the final whistle last Saturday at Coventry about how second best and how inferior they were in those midfield areas. And it wasn't just to single out McLean and Topic, but it wasn't anywhere near good enough in terms of the control, getting a reasonable share of possession. And then obviously off the back of that, being able to sort of sustain something that was actually an attacking force rather than, what it turned out to be, which was hanging on for grim death after Chris Gordon's goal in the first half. So for me, there needed to be something radical actually happen in that midfield area, because it's not just what happened at the CBS. I think all season, I want to say all season, I know we're only talking 5 or 6 games, but it hasn't felt it's connected in any way for me, not in a cohesive, sustained periods in games. Yes, we've seen it for 30 minutes here, 40 minutes there, 20 minutes there. We all know the games and we all know the parts of the games we're talking about, but as a step forward, I think it was crying out for something to change. And if it is McLean, maybe slightly enforced, so be it. But obviously also, and this all feeds into the same part of the equation for me, it's Jurasek now, first league start under Manning. Diallo maybe, if it is a 4, then that would suggest to me he's in potentially areas of the field he can be a bit more central in and around Sargent. And obviously Cernat, who I think has probably had a reprieve for me. I think if Chris Gordon comes out of Coventry fit and available, Cernat is dropped today. I think that was the sense you got externally, particularly, but even internally, I think probably it got to the point where he may have found that he'd had to make way. Just all in terms of what I'm talking about, which is for me, not enough evidence so far that individuals and units in the midfield and forward areas have come together in a sort of cohesive manner. And we all know it's a work in progress, and we know it's going to take time and patience and all those things. But maybe it was because they went to a Coventry and they looked so far ahead of them in those areas of the pitch, and in terms of how they controlled the game and what they were trying to do, and what the players, which their understanding of their roles, it was almost a very stark reality check for me. And if there's a few elements of enforced about what's happened today, then so be it. But what it means for me is the two centre mids who I think should be the centre mids for Norwich at this stage, because they're the two they've gone in and brought and recruited, and they felt that they needed to bring in players to address that area of the squad. So if those were the two they identified, let's get them in, let's get them together, and the sooner the better. They're building those relationships Liam likes to talk about. And then further forward, as I say, I don't think anybody, Sergeant aside, could argue if he shuffled things around in terms of personnel, in terms of approach at the top end of the pitch, because it hasn't been anywhere near good enough in terms of a sustained attacking threat. And we did a Spaces, me and you, midweek. If you've not already jumped on those every Wednesday evening, come and join us. And it's a good chance to sort of in the middle of two game cycles to sort of take the pulse of the Canary Nation. And we were on for about an hour, and I would say 40 minutes of that were devoted to Matej Jurasek needs to start. We had one or two fans come on. They were both of the opinion, given the outlay, given the story that accompanied him when he came into Carrow Road, given the frustrations that he's endured in these recent months, when was the right time? Well, we've got our answer now. Today is the right time. So you just hope that the dial can turn, and off the back of which I thought was a quite positive outing from him in the League Cup at Southampton, if he follows that up today, then we can move on from what have they got? Is this a bit of a rick in terms of recruitment? No, we can start to see evidence of why they went and got this player, highly rated, so he was on the continent. And if you're Matej Jurasek, to me today, you do everything in your power to basically convince Liam Manning now. You've had to bide your time. I'm sure he's been frustrated, fitness-wise, but also footballing-wise. Well, today's your opportunity. Go and grasp it.
Yes, what an opportunity for that man. His first championship minutes at all. He's this season only got 82 playing for Norwich City, which is in a sub appearance here, but also that start against Hull, which is the last time we saw him in the league. Remarkably, that was February. So we're talking 6 months or so ago for him. And like you say, Paddy, it's cliched in many ways, but he is going to feel like probably on top of the 12 they've done, and another new addition, because we've seen so little of him, and we know the narrative. It's been set. I wrote a column on this morning. It feels like, look, and it's not all been his fault. Let's not heap this on him. There has been, there was surgery in the summer. It's been, I'm sure he's probably been more frustrated than anybody that it hasn't quite gone the way he would have hoped since January. But like you say, this is a wonderful opportunity for him just to try and begin to shift that narrative a little bit that surrounds him, and to prove the player that Norwich City have signed. If he could come here today, score, be involved in a really good Norwich City performance, that shirt is suddenly his to lose.
And can you imagine, and we all hope that is the scenario, he plays well individually, but collectively, the midfield and the forward areas, they look like they're on the same page, rather than, this. I know you keep having to remember it is only 5 or 6 games out of the 46 game season, so you can't get too overly analytical about what we've seen, but it hasn't, for me, been, certainly it's not been enough with the ball that you would expect from this group of players, the quality that they clearly have at this level, but also a club who have made absolutely no bones about it. Top 6 is the ambition this season. It's the stated aim. And at what point does the gear have to shift, and you have to start seeing a bit more from this is no longer work in progress to no, actually, those players in those positions look comfortable. They look comfortable as units. They understand their roles. They understand what they're trying to do. And of course, there'll be peaks and troughs from here on in, because that's the nature of it. But I think if you're a Norwich fan, you probably could expect at this stage to see a little bit more from what we've seen so far with the ball. Without the ball, I don't think anybody could debate, that Liam Manning has a positive uptick. I know some of the metrics suggest otherwise in terms of chances they've coughed up, but we didn't see those levels of resolution at Portsmouth, at Coventry, Blackburn in the second half, really, under Torop. Certainly not to this consistent level. So, hat tip to Liam Manning and his coaching staff. Out of possession, yeah, I think they're there now, and they, of course, need to build on it. So the focus has to switch with the ball, and that's why today. I mean, I'll be interested. I can't see the comments here, Connor, but I'm imagining there's quite a lot of positive comments about potentially a four of Sargent, Cernak, Jurasek, and Jallo. That feels a lot of latent attacking potential in there. And I'd agree. Yeah, today feels, maybe off the back of what I've just said here, feels like a positive win and a positive result is what is required at this stage. And then if they get that, then it starts to marry with what they've done on the road. 7 points from 9, digging out results when they're not playing at their most cohesive best. So if they can now start to add those elements, then you can see where they are already. 5 games in, and they're just nicely tucked in behind the top 8 or so. And you'll take that right now because it feels like it's been this work in progress. But I think now we're getting into the point where the foot has to go onto the accelerator, and we have to start seeing something that gives everybody a bit of belief that actually, no, this is a head coach, a group of players developing a style of play that is going to be good enough to be in and around that top 6 come the turn of the year.
Absolutely. Look, so much that we've discussed. Just to recap, sorry for Kevin, who commented about Kenny McLean. Yeah, missing today. We believe that to be a very slight back issue, but obviously Liam Manning will clear that up post-game, and that's why he's not here. But the discussions were such that he was being talked about in terms of being on the bench today. So that would indicate, hopefully, it's not a too serious one. Look, most of the season, Pad, we have spent talking about formations and, is it a 3, is it a 4, is it a 5, is it a 2, is it a whatever. And I think it looks today like they've gone back to that kind of hybrid formation, doesn't it? Where it feels like it could be a back 4 in possession. We've kind of mapped it out as a 4 there. But I think we saw this, you might have to remind me if it was Millwall or Middlesbrough, where it was it became almost like a back 3, didn't it? With the 3 centre-backs. Diallo would then drop into a wing-back role. That feels like probably what we're going to see today with as you say, maybe Jurasek and Cianat's buzzing around Josh Sargent in terms of the 10s. That's a fair few yellow shirts you've got making your way to Carrow Road.
Yeah, I didn't realise just quite the cut through it is, but and I'm sure they're digesting the team moves as we are, and I think there will be that flexibility. We don't need to reopen the debate about formations. We know Liam Manning wants to put players in the right areas of the pitch. He'll obviously overlay that with what he thinks Wrexham might be looking to offer or what threat they might look to carry. But I can see that. Yeah, I can see that the sort of hybrid, to use your terminology there, that would seem to me making sense. But so much of what I seem to be talking about on this sort of team moves reaction is midfield and forward areas rather than what the back 4 base formation looks like. I just think if you've got a Maatsen in the top pitch, and of course we haven't seen Maatsen in a green and yellow shirt, but we're led to believe his strongest suit is the 6, more of a holder. And I think we've seen enough of top pitch that he seems to like him in that role as well. So if you've got those 2 anchoring defensively, I'm hoping what that releases is the 4 further ahead of them to almost not play off the cuff, but as Liam says, when he was talking about Jallo earlier in the season, he wants players to, basically see the pictures and then exploit it and make good decisions. And he was on about that again this week. Maybe they didn't do enough of that at Coventry. They didn't. He's trying to empower players. And if the penny drops with this group collectively and individually, then you can see how, as he says, the ceiling is much higher than if it's just a templated painting by numbers. Do this when the ball's in this area of the pitch, so on. No, he wants actually quite a cerebral approach to his coaching, which I think I agree with him. I think if you've got the players who can take that on board and see what they can see in the game state and then exploit it, then that feels like something which, if it could be harnessed, is obviously quite a powerful way of doing it. But for me, it's less about formations today, and as one or two fans have already put on here, and you've pushed it through, Connor, it's about whatever the system looks like, whatever the setup looks like. It is now about those 11, for me, delivering a performance primarily. And if they do that, then you would think that'll be good enough to get a result today. But I just hope that when we walk back up the hill after the game, me and Sam, to sit down and record the latest podcast, we're not talking again about disjointed, small samples of positive play in possession. I just, for me, it's all about today finally starting to see something that is right. Okay, Topic and Maatsen, like the look of them in the middle of the park, the balance that they offer, and then further ahead of them, it's either Jurasek, it's Jallo, it's Cernak, and obviously Sargent really stepping up and driving it forward as an attacking template because, I think by now, I think it's justifiable to expect a little bit more.
Absolutely right. Let's bring you the Wrexham team. I can flash that up here. They've made a couple of quite notable changes, actually, on Conquet in goal. Cleworth, Hyam and Doyle. That, to me, looks like a back three for them. No Connor Cody in their starting 11. No James McLean either, both on the bench. Cabor, Dawson, Sheaf, O'Brien and Longman looks like a midfield five to me, with two of Kiefer Moore and Josh Windass, who is back from injury today. The subs bench, Burton, Brunt, Cody, James McLean. That's James and McLean, not James McLean. Smith, Barnett, Broadhead and Tomasson as well. And it's an interesting one, as much as we talk from a Norwich City perspective, Pat. It's an interesting one for Wrexham, isn't it, who haven't had the start to the championship season that they would like. We all know the story. We know they came up with a lot of hype and a lot of talk around maybe what they were going to do. They've spent a lot of money. They've brought in a lot of players, and probably similarly to Norwich, really, just waiting for that probably to click. There's been some reports, or there were some reports last weekend, thank you, about the manager Phil Parkinson, which, how true or not they were or weren't, just adds to the sense, I guess. And I said it earlier in terms of how big the press box is, how much attention they command. It's going to be interesting to see what they offer, and for them it'll be probably similarly to Norwich, an opportunity to shake off a little bit of a slow start. You're on mute there, Paz. There we go.
Yeah, it is. I thought I'd better start walking here. I don't want to miss the kickoff at this rate. But it's hell of a story. Don't profess to have watched any of the documentaries or, consumed all of the Hollywood aspect of it, but purely in a footballing sense. And this is why I think Liam Manning was talking up Phil Parkinson. 3 successive promotions, however you cut it, however the financial resources they've had, it's still a notable achievement because you have to build that culture and you have to build a group of players who can do it. National League to Championship is quite a different demand in terms of player profile, and you do see, notably Callum Doyle, paying reportedly 8 million. Ben Napper was very clear on that in the summer when we put it to him. Could there be a way to get Callum Doyle back out through Man City permanently? And he said no, not the figures that was going to be required. So Wrexham have committed to that, and I thought it was a very good point that Liam Manning said about Wrexham is there's none of this bringing in players to resell value. It's all about the here and now, and a huge outlay for them in experienced pros at this level like Cody and one or two others, Broadhead and McLean, obviously. And it's really interesting if they can, if they can reproduce what they've done the previous levels at the Championship level. I feel it's going to be personally quite tough, and you can maybe see that in their early season results. Because if financial power is what has got them out of the lower leagues, how many clubs at this level have got the same sort of resources? So, it remains to be seen what this season looks like. But I think the reality is Phil Parkinson is going to come under intense pressure because the expectation for that group of players, fans, the ownership is that they push on through again and complete the fairy tale and get to the Premier League, however realistic that is. So it's not a surprise to me that there's already reportedly heat around him, and whether that feeds into their performance today or not, we'll see. You say he's made a couple of changes. I'm surprised if he brought Cody out with his experience, but we'll see. We'll see. It's more of one of those you sort of observe from afar and with a degree of fascination. For me, it's clearly anybody who's on this broadcast and us and Liam and the players. It's about Norwich and how they impose themselves today, and I just hope it is a very dominant, front-footed attacking performance. And with the 4 particularly that he's named in the forward areas, it sounds like that's what he wants from this group of players. He certainly, as he said, anybody thinks he went to Coventry with an approach that we were going to sit on the edge of our own box, nick a goal and then hang on for dear life. He said that they don't know him effectively, is what he inferred. So if that is the case, let's hope we see a team today which is more cast in the image of this head coach.
How's it going to go, Paddy? How do you see this one going? Clearly, much of the focus is going to be about whether Norwich City can break that winless start. And again, for context, a record for you that's only happened once, where Norwich City have lost their opening 3 home games in a league season. That was in the Premier League in 21-22. It's never been done outside of the top flight. So that's the sort of unprecedented levels we are on at the moment in time. Will they break that record this afternoon?
Well, you've got to go home wins for me. I would have said it before the team news, but now I've seen that 11, and obviously, yeah, we'll wait to see what it looks like in terms of structure. But if it is the two holders and then releasing those four to go and play, and just play, um, if they give this home crowd something to hang on to and get behind, then yeah, I'd like to think they would get that first competitive win under Manning here at Carrow Road. But at the same token, I think it might be a tighter affair than maybe 1 or 2 expect. I'm probably going to go 2-1 Norwich. What about you, Connor?
Sorry, you caught me mid doing something else there. Yeah, I agree. I think Norwich City are going to win. It's interesting looking at the underlying numbers on this. We're talking about two of the teams who probably concede the most high-quality chances in the division. So by nature, there should be goals. I think Norwich City will win this afternoon. I think that's really important in terms of the mood for all of the reasons we've discussed in the last 20 minutes or so. And I think they will get goals this afternoon. I think they're going to win 3-1. I'm going to go for. So hopefully that's right. Of course, you can let us know your prediction as well. But Paddy, how far are you away from Carrow Road? Because I mean, you should be all right. We've got 55 minutes before kickoff. You're not going to be in any trouble here in terms of kickoff, are you?
No. I'm just up from the fat cat now, Connor. Yeah. So as soon as I jump off here, I'll be walking at a brisk pace. But plenty of time. 3-0. We like that. Wrexham.
Yeah. 4-2 says Archie, which is again going on the goals theme. So, but yeah, I guess that's probably the final point to end it on, Paddy, isn't it? We've mentioned the home stuff. If you're a fan coming in today, you can see plenty of them in the background walking past you there. There will be expectations, probably a bit of a strong word, but real hope that they can kickstart their Carrow Road campaign today after what was probably 2 false starts against Millwall and Middlesbrough, and of course that Southampton game in the cup as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take that all day long, particularly with those goal scorers. But yeah, I mean, maybe I've been a little bit too harsh, really, bearing in mind we're 5 or 6 games in. But you just see where Coventry were at. You see where Middlesbrough were at when they came here. They're the benchmarking clubs. If you're going to be in and around the top 6, for me, that Norwich have played thus far. And if we're being honest, in possession, I thought they were a long way off it. So that to me tells me there needs to be a lot of growth and a lot of acceleration in the in-possession parts of what Manning's trying to do with this group of players. Will they get there? Yes. I think we were all quite candid. We thought top 6 before a ball was kicked. I wouldn't dismiss that prediction at this stage, but equally, if you know what good looks like, to sort of paraphrase Liam Manning in this division, or what top 6 potentially looks like, I don't think Norwich have been anywhere close for a sustained period in any game. So that's why today, albeit it's 6 games in, 7 games in, feels bigger. And then obviously you map onto that the fact that Carrow Road, 3 games, League and Cup, 3 defeats. That needs to end clearly. That's stating the obvious. But if you're going to do anything top 6 wise, your home form has to be your foundation, as it were. So there's a lot of factors in play why today needs to be, for me, in possession, a bit of a line in the sand, because, with the greatest respect, it is a Wrexham team who've got 4 points from 5 games. If they come here and, heaven forbid, get the win or even get a draw for me, then I think that just leaves more questions around what is it that this coach and this coaching staff are trying to impart onto this group of players, and why is it in possession feeling like it's still a little bit unobtainable. So, let's hope it's the opposite and that they look cohesive and it looks players comfortable in what they're being asked to do, and then that bleeds into the performance, which then bleeds into the result, and then on we go then. Because as I said earlier, away from home, it looks like they've got something they can cling on to. Even if they're not playing brilliantly, they can still go away from home and dig out results. But really, the difference between 8th, 10th, 12th and top 6 is going to be your home form. So it has to start sometime, and let's hope it's today.
Excellent. Well, Paddy will be at Carrow Road this afternoon, and we will, of course, be over everything in terms of coverage, analysis, and reaction. Pinken.com, the place to go, and we'll, of course, be speaking to Liam Manning and debating, hopefully, all of the bones out of a Norwich City win later on our Pinken podcast as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Whether you've been watching on Facebook, YouTube, and X for that Norwich City team news, and let's hope it's 3 points this afternoon.